G'day, champion.
Hello.
How are we doing on this fine episode 01, episode 1 of... Oh my god, William, our cat is just gonna start off the podcast real good.
Come on, man.
With a lap jump.
Come on. If he jumps up, we'll let you know. And then if you get on YouTube to watch the visual and audio experience, you can see William. Yours looks better because the cable's there.
That was... If you can hear that, that's William's ass hitting the microphone. All right, Alan, so what is episode number... Well, first of all, how are we? Hello. How you doing?
I'm alright. I'm tired.
Yeah. Sleepy boy?
Yes. I caught up with some friends last night.
Oh dear.
And well, you're aware of this. This isn't news to you. I didn't drink too much or anything like that, but I did decide, I'll wind down and have a cup of tea, play some Civ, and then
it was 4 a.m.
And then it was 2:30 a.m. And then I was like, I better go to bed because I've got to do this first episode of the podcast and don't want to sound all croaky like this. So
Sound like
I needed some sleep.
Nice. Do you want to let the people know? Episode 1, the letter A, the first letter, allegedly, of the alphabet. What are we talking about today? Or I'm coming to you with the topic, but you kind of know the cliff notes of what's happening.
Yeah, look, I think it's fairly loose. We are, I guess, talking about arachnids in Australia.
Yeah.
But we can just kind of go where it goes.
Well, yeah, the big A top. I figure, the big A, first of all, besides Alan, the big A, like, we are Australians, if you can't tell by the mild accents, I guess. But I mean, like, yeah, you bloody going, you want to get into this episode. Anyway, I figured, what's one thing that Australia is famous for is big fuck-off spiders. So
Lethal flora and fauna.
Absolutely. Everything allegedly wants to or can kill you. Especially according to like tourists or the international crowd. It's like, so I figure let's start it off with one of the biggest fears people have, which is spiders. It's going to really encourage people to stay and listen to, we'll entitle the episode C will be cats. So we're going to bring it home for you. Don't worry. It'll be a lot more comforting.
Yeah.
But I figured we'd start with, your favorite thing in the world. You hate spiders, hey?
Yes. I guess growing up, my household was very much kill on sight in terms of spiders. A lot of like yelling and, oh my God. And it's like, probably in reflection, I don't think we ever had a spider in the house that could actually
do harm,
hurt anybody. They're just creepy. They got too many legs and they move real quick.
That's fair. That's valid.
And they freaked my mum out. So
you've inherited this.
So I was like conditioned to be like, whoa, I should really be concerned about that thing.
Yeah. Have you ever had an encounter with a funnel web spider?
Yes.
We'll go into story time towards the end of this segment, but
yeah.
For those at home, one of the things Australia is most famous for is the funnel web spider. Even just saying that sounds funnel web spider sounds very Australian, but it's kind of most famous because it's classified as the most venomous spider in the world. I believe there's like a Brazilian, I believe there's like a Brazilian chase you down running spider, or some sort of Brazilian spider that's up there as well in terms of lethality. But essentially, it's our big boy for William. Can you please? It's our big boy for like, you don't like manhandle this spider. If you get bit, like, you go to hospital ASAP.
Yeah, like I think a lot of like American friends I've had that have been like, oh, that's just a brown recluse spider, we've got them here, but this thing, like, you will literally bleed out of your eyes, ears.
Oh, we'll go into the symptoms.
Like 1 hour.
Yeah, your diaphragm stops working, your lungs fill with fluid. We're going to get to those juicy details. The fun fact though, it's mostly lethal to humans and primates. Can you hear William's purring? Oh my god. It's like a lot of other mammals just not affected by the venom. So like cats, dogs, that sort of thing can be like munch and they're like fine, all sort of thing. Rabbits totally chill with it, which we'll get into that as well a bit later as well.
I was going to say rabbits is something to do with the
Yeah.
anti-venom?
Yeah.
Or something?
No spoilers, but yeah.
Okay, sure.
But yeah, boy howdy, does the venom enjoy messing up a human's life. So, which is also interesting because besides humans, there aren't really any primates, or there are no primates in Australia. We don't have monkeys and stuff like that. So it's like, it's purely just here to like ruin our day. So, you know, the venom stats, got some numbers. I hate numbers, but we're going to get into them. Okay. The lethal dose of venom in humans is not known. Because I guess there's no way to ethically test venom on humans.
The limit does not exist.
The limit does not exist. But the lethal dose for venom from, I should say this as well, the male funnel web spider, lethal dose from males, because as in real life, men are more toxic. Same goes for, I'm joking, for funnel web spiders. The men just have more venom. I don't know if I'm sure there's a biological reason. The chicks have less. Yeah, you know. Also, the women spiders, the female spiders can live for up to. Do you want to have a guess? How many years the female spider can live versus the male spider? Funnel web, Sydney funnel web.
Is it decades?
For one of them.
Can you give me like a range? Like, are we talking?
Probably more than what you'd expect for a spider.
Like 34 years.
20 years for the females. That's still, a long time for a bloody spider.
Yeah.
The males around 4 years, mainly because they
Take
sometimes
more risks.
Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, they basically, if they don't mate and like skedaddle, they will become like the first snack for their babies. Like that female will be like, yoink, a delicious snack pack for my children in a few weeks' time. So, if they don't GTFO, they just kind of, they're running the gauntlet,
Sounds
spreading
like
their
matriarchy to me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, technically. Or maybe it's just like the ultimate father. You know, he's just like giving up everything for his kids.
He gave the ultimate sacrifice.
I'll do anything for my kids. Yeah. That includes becoming a HSP. Like, sorry, back to the venom stats. Lethal dose for humans, not known. Valid, because you can't really go around stabbing. We know this is lethal. We can't just go jab kids with this in the eye and see like just a little drop.
Yeah, okay.
The lethal dose from a male Sydney funnel web, when you inject that into, allegedly, the crab-eating macaque. Macaque, we're familiar, it's a monkey. Oh, yeah. It's, if you go to Indonesia or India, it's the one that will steal your camera and like bite you and stuff, like those guys. So they're like probably a dog-sized monkey.
So someone's like done research here and be
scientists.
Like, I'm gonna...
Not just randos.
Yeah, like Johnny,
just go
shoot
jab
up
some...
this monkey.
Yeah.
So like, people decided, let's inject some monkeys.
They're research monkeys, like the whole like
whatever,
testing, animal testing, but
don't you love
all that kind of jazz. At least it's not for makeup, but it's not. It's kind of bleak, but essentially, the lethal dose in those little lads is 0.2 milligrams per kilo, which is. I'm going to do some conversions here because I hate maths, I hate numbers, and international milligram. You guys. Milligrams, milliliters, all that jazz. To convert that, one drop, like one little bloop from a dropper, you get like a little pipette and you have like a drop. I researched this. One bloop in a dropper is 50 milligrams of water. Like if it was like a liquid, it's 50 milligrams in one drop. Lethal dose in the monkeys, 0.2. So we're talking like a fraction of a bloop will wreck these boys. Yeah, it's not great. And the average, do you want to have a guess how many bloops, how many milligrams of venom are in a standard venom yield from a dude?
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the delivery?
178 milligrams. So they're just overachieving. The Sydney funnel webs are roaming around with a fully loaded pipette of venom.
How much?
176. Lethal for the monkey, 0.2. They're overachievers.
Like 6 shot glasses of
no milligrams, not milliliters. Milligrams.
Okay.
They weigh it, I guess. It's like a couple of when they milk them.
Would it not be the same though?
No, not for it's like the toxic component or whatever you want to. But essentially if you got bitten by one, it's like a couple of drops in you. So it's like the 50 milligrams in a droplet of water. 170 milligrams in a bite, so like 3 droplets of water, 3 droplets of venom in one bite. Bad time.
Okay.
It's like a billion. That's not a billion times, but like you haven't. Yeah, you're not going to have a good day. They've done tests on other monkeys, bigger ones, that sort of thing. So a dose of like 5 milligrams per kilo. For these other monkeys, it would kill them in 3 to 4 hours. So again, just not having a good time. Like that's like 1/5 of a droplet, and you're not having a good time. 1/5. No, I can't do numbers.
That
It's
sucks.
tiny. A tiny amount will mess you up.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Like, it's a bad time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Why did we have to kill some monkeys?
I guess to
confirm. Yep.
yeah, she's
Still gonna die.
I don't know. I get research, I would assume, to help probably synthesize and make a anti-venom, all that kind of jazz.
Yeah. Okay.
If you want to go into like it fully sucks, essentially the venom is a neurotoxin, a deadly neurotoxin. So you're going to have some sweating, the nausea, the vomiting, a bit of casual fluid in your lungs. It slows down all of your, essentially the communication between your body. So your body's like sending signals slow as hell.
Yeah.
Your diaphragm slows down and you stop being able to breathe.
I've also eaten at Taco Bell before.
Yeah. They're very similar. The Sydney funnel web spider and a Taco Bell.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to order. We don't have them here.
We do.
I got one, don't we?
I tried it, and it was like
A bad time.
okay. Yeah, I was like, all right. Well, I've tried it.
Anyway, never again.
I will never be the same.
Long story short, any funnel web spider bite should be treated as a medical emergency and you go to hospital immediately. Yeah, it's like if you get bit, even if you think it might, it was just a big blackish spider, pretend it's a funnel web and go to hospital sort of situation. Yeah, they don't mess around. So given what we know, how venomous these lads are, pop quiz. How many deaths do you think occurred in 2021 due to the funnel web spider's bite? And if you're listening at home, which you would have to be hearing these words in my mouth, pick a number, hold it in your head. Alan, how many do you think died? How many humans died in 2021?
I know that as dangerous as they sound, it's not actually a lot of deaths. So I'd sort of go out there and say none.
You would be correct. Would you like to know when the last death happened from a funnel web spider bite?
When?
There hasn't been one for 40 years. Ever since the anti-venom became available in 1981, there have been no recorded deaths due to funnel web spider. 40 years, that's a pretty good it's a pretty good streak, I'd say.
Yeah.
Especially considering how, there is how venomous and how quickly the venom acts. 0 deaths.
Yeah, like I guess thinking about it, like, so I'm terrified of spiders. I don't like them. It's like I'll kill them. Zoe's like, let's catch and release them, or if it was a funnel web, she'd we'll get into that later, but so that always spun me out, because I was like, if I actually get bitten by a funnel web, I'd be able to get to hospital before I died. So the thing that used to freak me out was with my old job when I used to travel up north to Queensland. There's no funnel webs up there, but there are
other flavors.
There are brown snakes, and it's I am 6 or 7 hours from a hospital. No phone reception. It's 46 degrees, and there's a lot of that. What's the brown snakes one of the most dangerous snakes in the world?
It gets number 2 or number 3. Yeah, we've got 7 of the top 10 in Australia. And
literally, I've been to farm sites where the guy's oh, there's a brown snake in there. I went at it with a shovel and it got away, so it's really angry.
Thanks, man.
And I'm cool. I'm going to sit in the Land Cruiser and kind of measure it, just mulligan, just guess it, because I'm not going to go inside to measure this property. I'm not getting paid enough to go in there and die to measure a shed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. I never really got into perspective until I started.
Oh, don't worry. The snakes, I think, get 1 or 2 people a year, and mostly rural situations. Yeah. And mostly someone's trying to 1v1 a snake with a shovel. So it's kind of just run away is the best option.
Most of the time, people die when they try to attack things.
Yeah.
Here, if you just leave them alone.
Yeah, just don't touch it.
You'll probably be okay.
Yeah. So with the funnel web as well, there's been one recorded case of a young girl, sadly, dying within 15 minutes of being bitten. That was a report that was given to Strawn Sutherland. Most Australian name I've ever heard is Strawn. Oh my God, William Jesus. You don't like the name Strawn? Settle down. So this man, Strawn Sutherland, he and his team developed the anti-venom for the funnel web spider. So cheers, Strawn, thank you. He was actually appointed an officer of the Order of Australia, so which is it's like kind of like the best gold star you can get in Australia for congrats for being a legend. That was in 2000, or effective from February 2000, for, quote, service to science as a leading contributor to research in clinical toxicology and biology of Australia's venomous creatures, and for the development of the funnel web spider antivenom. So cheers to Strawn. No one's died, or Annie's team, no one's died in 40 years.
I'm interested, anyone listening, like our massive audience that we have, given this is the first episode, anyone in Australia that's actually been bitten by a funnel web?
That'd be cool. That would be interesting to look into.
Wouldn't be cool, but it'd be interesting
to talk. It'd be cool to talk to someone, not it'd be cool to get bitten. Let's do it for the show. Let's go and get bitten. Gotta do it for the views. Given what we know now, if one of these highly venomous funnel web spiders was in our backyard, what do you think I should do?
See, I know the answer.
Yeah, and you yourself just said people die if they try to kill stuff half the time.
Yeah, but I think when I'm in the yard, I'm wearing my steel caps, and I've usually got a big implement.
Yeah,
so
and I'm just barefoot with a watering can.
I'm just going to be honest. Depending on the day, I may just not tell you about an encounter with a funnel web. Yeah,
well, long story short, considering how close we live to the Australian Reptile Park, I should probably catch it and drive it, an hour down the road and take it to them.
And then they can milk it.
Yeah.
And get that good anti-death juice brewing.
You've read my mind, good sir. The Australian Reptile Park, fun fact, is the only place in Australia, and actually in the entire world, that has a funnel web spider milking program. Yum. I hope it's dairy free.
Spiders have nips.
Yeah, you just gotta grab those little spider boobies and So basically, you can literally catch funnel web spiders and take it to the reptile park for them to milk. There's tutorial. There's the reptile park guy who goes to schools and stuff and shows you how to do it and all that kind of jazz. But essentially, they need them to milk them to get the anti-venom happening. So basically, at the reptile park, you get old Barry with a pipette to drop by drop just suck the venom out of from the spider's fangs.
Okay.
So then they milk them, the venom gets sent down to Melbourne, it's made into the anti-venom. The process, we mentioned rabbits a bit earlier, is by immunizing rabbits to the venom. So they basically inject increasing doses of the venom into rabbits because they don't have a negative reaction. They have I think maybe get the sniffles, but they don't go oh! They're chill. So they inject the rabbits with the venom over 8 or 9 months is the process that it takes.
Right.
Then at the end of that, they collect parts of the rabbit's blood. It's got antibodies to it.
Like a protein or something the rabbit makes in response to?
Antibodies. So it's fighting a virus. It's fighting off the...
right.
Yeah, so the rabbit, the one that have antibodies... that neutralizes the poison. It's then synthesized, purified to make into an injection for people. So yeah,
I see.
It's pretty wild.
Good bun.
So back to have you had any funnel web stories, any encounters, Alan?
Yeah, I think that's funny. People say, "Oh, I'm never going to Australia." It's everything there is deadly. I think. Well, I'm 35.
You think you're 35 or?
Yeah, I think so. Around that. I've probably encountered funnel webs less than 10 times. So a couple of times in pools and stuff. They chilling at the bottom of the pool.
They just fall in.
They like to swim though. They can breathe underwater.
No.
Or they can make a little air bubble or something that they breathe in.
They just don't die for 2 hours of being in the water sort of thing.
So yeah, I've fished them out of there.
They don't drown very quickly. They can be alive in pools, and then obviously when it's you've yanked them out of the pool, they're oh my god!
Yeah, people think, oh, they're dead, I'll just grab it.
Yeah, no, they're not. Don't touch.
Yeah, I've had one that when I was younger, that I killed before I knew about the whole anti-venom thing. And they are very much like the Terminator of spiders. So I poured boiling water on it.
Why would you? That's just horrid.
So I didn't.
Were you a child at the time? Okay.
Yeah, and didn't die. And I got a shovel and I hit it, and it like crushed its back, and it kept like crawling and trying to stand up and go, like, because they kind of they put
rear
their
up,
front legs up.
Yeah, basically the way that they're designed, the way that they are, like their fangs are bloody massive, but they can't like just use their mandibles and bite you. They have to physically rear up to expose the fang to then bring it down like a little trapdoor.
Like a clamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, that was pretty like, oh, okay, like, I'm really regretting starting this, and it's like, I gotta finish it now, can't leave it like that, but yeah, they're pretty hectic.
Yeah, I caught one when I was in year 3, and we took it to the reptile park.
Like, we just established that it, like, delivers
you got what
16,000 times the amount required to kill, and you're like, oh,
you get a Tupperware
catch
container.
It with my hands.
Not with my hands. Jesus Christ.
Well, pretty close.
A Tupperware container and a piece of paper. That's all you need.
Your hands close to it, though.
Yeah, but they can't go anywhere. That's the secret, Cap. The whole thing is like, if you want to learn, right? They can't climb smooth surface. They can climb a tree, but they can't climb like smooth plastic. They can't jump. They can move swift-ish, but not as fast as a huntsman or something. But basically, like if you want to catch one very easily, you can kind of just move your hand, not close to it, but like, oh, I'm a bird, like up in, standing height above it. And it's going to rear up. When it's reared up, it can't run around. And once it's up, you just put the container on its head and go, get in there, champion. So they're not especially hard. You just have to be careful to not be stupid, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, like...
You got to put a bit of moist soil in there as well, because they get dehydrated. Little hydro homies.
I don't care about their comfort.
I care about getting some anti-venom.
If I catch one, it's lucky that it's alive. Like,
I'll provide the soil. Okay. That's fine.
But yeah, I wouldn't say too many funnel web stories. I've got like...
No, I barely see them. Yeah.
I've been bitten by a redback.
Oh, how was that?
It was painful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was under a car.
That sounds like a horrid accident.
I was under a car doing a car service. So I was doing an oil change. And I was like, had my hands up in like... It was like for a friend's car. And he's like, definitely does not look after vehicle, wash vehicle, etc. And I had my hand up in the engine, like getting the oil filter out. So I'm like, the car's on a jack. So I'm lying under the car. And then like a redback just kind of lowered down. And I'm like, I can't like sit up. So I'm like, oh shit, I can't move. And then it just landed on my hand. And then crawled down my hand and bit me on the wrist.
Oh, yum.
Yeah.
Did you do the thing where we get taught in primary school about like bandaging the wound and all that jazz, or you just?
No, I got drunk.
That's the opposite of helpful. That's what you don't do.
It was very
kids.
It was very painful, and I guess I felt nauseous, and I was in a lot of pain, and I was like, I'll just.
At the risk of giving bad spider advice, I'm pretty sure redbacks aren't lethal unless you're like probably a kid in Australia. Australian redbacks, yeah. You're not going to have a good time. But I would imagine still go to hospital if you get bitten by something.
Yeah, it was when I lived with my friends and we were all a bit cavalier and just like, just have a couple of bourbons and...
That's stupid.
Sweat it out. But yeah, it did the whole thing. So I had like the big red... Like it was like a red circle, about a 20-cent coin size, which that won't mean much to other people. So I don't know, maybe
the size of a pod,
a Tarzo or a
Tarzo,
on my wrist, and just felt a bit woozy and whatever. But I guess I'm a young and healthy lad, so
the confidence, that's what'll get you.
So yeah, I think a lot of the deaths are like old people gardening and it bites them or something. And
I think that's especially common for like older people, or if they've got diabetes, if you get bitten on the foot or you don't feel it until later on, it's a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
Did you ever get like the reptile guy or someone in school teaching you how to spider, how to snake, or don't recall?
I don't think so. We moved around a bit when I was a kid, so I feel like I...
Probably missed some of
that. Like I missed...
The one excursion day where you
going to different states. So like different schools had different years and it's
different curriculum.
That's a whole different thing. But,
I recall I think it was in like year 2 and then again in like year 5, like the reptile park. We went to the reptile park Mrs. McCombie got peed on by one of those little double-ended lizard dudes. That was what they call, like, little copperhead boys or whatever they are.
No idea.
The blue tongue that's not blue.
Don't know.
Yeah, one of those boys peed on Mrs. McCombie. But we would, like, go to the reptile park, or the reptile park guy would come to our school and, like, you know, lick a cane toad and all that jazz. Basically, like, pretty dramatically, but in a funny way that kids remember, showing you, like, hey, here's what you do and don't do with animals. You get to, you know, touch the snake, pat the alligator, blah, blah, blah. All that kind of jazz. And, like, how to bandage. If you got bitten, like, say I got bitten on the wrist, start your bandage at the elbow, work your way all the way down to your hand, cover your whole hand like a little nubbin, all the way back up to your shoulder, and then, like, all the way back down. So it's just like, and then, you know, put it in your t-shirt, like, immobilize the arm, bandage the hell out of it, and, like, you know, let us all have a practice sort of thing. But basically, like, hey, here's what you do. And, like, you know, it's probably all under 10 years old sort of thing. And I think that's more common now as well. Or, like, they'll do it on the news and stuff. Like, every, you know, kind of back to school season or summer season, they'll have the little segment on the funnel web or on the, you know, what to do if. But yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't have any of that. So that's why it was like, so you've been bitten by a potentially deadly spider. What you do is pour 3 fingers of wild turkey into a glass.
They're going to the primary schools giving that advice.
Timmy, go into your dad's liquor cabinet.
Timmy, help dad out. As I guess, yeah, long story short, if you ever see, like, an Australian, you see some Aussies stomping on the tip of their shoes before putting them on, or, you know,
throwing
violently
gloves at the ground,
yeah,
like
smashing,
I do.
Yeah, stomping on your gardening gloves. That's kind of why.
Yes.
You got to check for spiders, because, you know, they can be there. But again, as we've just said, like, you've had one unfortunate encounter, which could have been mitigated by, you know, like, maybe spraying the feral car. And then, or, you know, knowing to not touch them in the pools. But, like, yeah, for myself, for funnel webs, I think that one in I've been jonesing to find another, like, funnel web since year 3, since I was, like, 7 or 8 years old. I'm like, one day I'll find another one to donate, but I genuinely haven't seen one since then.
Yeah. Being
So
lucky.
yeah, well, I mean, or just regular life, you don't really see them that much if you live. It depends where you live.
I was amazed here. Like, I dug up, like, so much grass. 6 or 7 square meters of grass, and shoveling dirt and all the areas that they're like, oh, that's where they like to live. And
well, I mean, you can see you would probably see the burrow as well. You'd be like, oh, why is there a hole in my grass? Because funnel web, they have a funneled web.
Yeah, they make a little tunnel.
A little cube, little tunnel thing.
But yeah, I've been pretty lucky, I guess. I haven't seen them.
I guess unless you're going out of your way, or if you just happen to buy a house that's on top of, like, a nest or something.
Yeah, that happened a few k's from here.
Yeah,
there was that house, and there was just a elaborate
network
labyrinth of funnel web nests.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. That would suck especially if you're, like, an arachnophile. I mean, I guess maybe, like, just vacuum them all out and donate them, like, thunk, 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 like, just vacuum, go and donate them to the reptile park. But yeah, that would be. Imagine doing, like, renovations and you're just like, oh, there's 40,000 spiders.
Yeah, I think a house in Spears Point that I grew up in, like, a pest inspection guy came over and they found, like, a big snake skin in the roof.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there ended up being, like, a whole labyrinth of snakes in the backyard.
Oh, that's warming.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, on that note, if you were going to say to someone who wanted to visit Australia who is scared of spiders and snakes, what would you say?
They probably won't see any unless they go looking for them at a reptile park. Like,
yeah, I would agree.
I've had been alive for more than 3 decades now, and seen a snake, like, in the wild, like, 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And
we had one that, like, lived at our primary school. If you went to Sidefield, there was, like, this one little, like, nature strip. Yeah, it was just, like, this one little nature strip that you never went into, really. And it would just go and sunbake. And there'd just be, like, a school announcement. Hey, the little Sidefield's closed because the snake's there. All right. And we'd all go and, like, gather around and, like, look at it. Yeah. And then leave. And then, yeah, I've seen one in the wild as, like, a kid. Because we went to go, you know, catch little frogs in a tiny little body of water pond. Which, you know, thinking back, 1 + 1, there's snake food. And, of course, there's going to be a snake nearby. But, you know, like...
Yeah, you gotta think of it like, if you've got Australian friends, it's like anything. Like, people will love to tell you about some really bad experience they had shopping or whatever. Like, you're talking to Australian friends, like, the story isn't very interesting if they're just like, oh, went outside today and nothing happened.
Yeah.
So, like, they're always going to G it up and talk about...
The crazy time.
Talk about, oh, yeah,
There's
we
the
got
big
this spider that, like, your eyeballs will melt out of your face.
Yeah.
And all that.
We got the Usain Bolt spider.
Yeah.
Huntsman's running along.
Huntsman's cool.
Huntsman's a
I mean,
bloody
they're
fast.
creepy. I'm sure that's what they modelled the face hugger of aliens off huntsman spiders.
Yeah,
like,
but they don't...
the way they move.
Yeah, their venom just doesn't affect humans.
Yeah, they got
which
little,
is great.
They got little nubs, so they're like I can't puncture your skin.
Yeah.
So sad.
I'm so sick. Well, they can, but it's useless
They'd have
against
to be
humans.
like hacking at you for a while. Like
Even
they'd be like a butter knife
we're not like susceptible to their.
They're like,
He's just got his little hatchet.
Just don't move.
Just stay here for 1 sec. That's the one thing I'll say to any international travelers and things like that. If someone's like, oh, I want to visit, but like you got such big spiders, at the end of the day, the huntsman doesn't have a Glock. So, you know, it's really not a threat. You can just walk away from the huntsman in terms of like danger. So, yeah.
True.
I think total every year in Australia, more people, if we're talking about like animal deaths, the number one killer in Australia is horses and cattle.
Yeah.
People get kicked in the head or trampled on working on a farm, and like that's I think it's like 10 to 20 per year from that. And then dogs are above. Dogs kill more people, and then there's like the snakes and spiders is like 2, 5, that sort of thing per year, fluctuates. But yeah. Sharks maybe get like 1 per year if they're lucky. If they're like, I'll get you next year, Barry. Oh, those juicy little legs.
Totally.
But yeah, comparatively, pretty alright. While we're on the topic of dangerous Australian creatures, how do you feel about Danny Minogue? Is there any other?
You're going to ask me how I'm going.
Are there any other myths about Australia that you want to share or dispel, or just fun Australia things? So I guess we've dispelled the fun web.
We don't.
Oh,
am I allowed to swear?
How many swears do we get per episode? I don't know. Yeah, we can always bleep it if it becomes.
We don't cook fucking shrimp.
We don't even have shrimp.
They're prawns.
Yeah. And we don't put them on the Barbie.
And we don't put them on the Barbie.
The shrimp on the Barbie. That's the biggest lie. I feel like that is like the biggest piece of just like propaganda. If you say someone like, oh, the government's corrupt, there's like all these, you know, they're lying about the war and wherever. No, shrimp on the Barbie is the biggest piece of propaganda lie that's been fed to. Yeah, I think. Like, I've never actually witnessed anyone.
They would fall, like, if it's a barbecue with a grill, the prawns would fall through the grill.
Or it would just stick to the thing and like shred half your prawn, like.
But yeah. So there's that.
Like else? So basically the way you get them in Australia is like you get them from wherever, but they're already boiled essentially, or like steamed. They're steamed, so they're edible straight as they are cold. I guess like what you would see in like a prawn cocktail like that. We don't put them in the cocktail. We have the sauce, but essentially you get that one family member whoever starts peeling them first is like, oh, can you peel me one? Oh, hey, Alan, can you peel us one? And you just eat them cold but cooked. Yeah. Yeah,
like they cook them and they're cold,
Yeah.
What else?
Foster's is not Australian for beer.
Yeah, Foster's is a horrible beer. I do have some in the fridge because...
That was for a joke, though.
Yeah, it was for...
I feel like you shouldn't admit...
It was for the stream.
Yeah, I feel like you shouldn't admit that you ever owned it.
No, I do respect my community. And they wanted me to have a Foster's for a certain reward tier or something.
Yeah.
But what else?
I think I smelt it, or you encouraged me to sniff the tin, and it was feral. Yeah. To say the least.
Yeah, it's like hangover feel. It's not even strong, but it's like just not good.
No.
I guess topical at the moment.
Oh.
We don't live in a police state.
I thought you were going to say something else. Oh yeah, it's a myth. Yeah, true. Yeah. We're fine. We're chilling.
We can kind of go out and do whatever we want when we want.
Yeah. When you said topical, I thought you were going to talk about the fact that we're filming this on air quotes Australia Day.
Oh no.
We don't really.
I don't really want to get into that.
No, yeah. We don't do it. I think both of us are pro change the date sort of vibe, but yeah. I thought that's when you're saying topical. I was like, oh, very topical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we talk about the Great Emu War? Or is that maybe a subject for later on, like the letter E or something? Oh, actually, I know. Emu. Emu, not emu. I swear, if I hear one person say emu, I will throw hands.
What's an emu?
Oh, oh, honey, can you look at over there? They got pet emus. They got an emu farm. I blame The Simpsons a little bit. Look, Marge, an emu. Like that
Yeah.
whatever that episode was. Maybe. But I guess why would they know how to say it that way if they didn't say it? I don't know. Emu. Like the little pink Pokemon Mew. And it's an e-girl. Emu. That's, yeah.
The Rum Rebellion.
Oh, yeah.
Australia, from what I understand, almost became like America 2.0 because they were a colony of England. And apparently the Queen or something was like, I don't like these Australians drinking so much. Don't like them drinking their rum. We're gonna like
Prohibition,
do prohibition and take the rum away. And like the riot and everything was so bad that they were like, uh-oh, like this is going to be like America again. We'll just give them the alcohol back. And then we're just like, okay, cool.
I feel like we need to like probably look into the details of that a bit more.
Yeah,
But I feel
more
like,
detail, but
I think it only lasted like
a couple of days.
Yeah.
They
It
were
was
like,
just like,
okay,
oh, no, shut it down.
give it back.
Shut it down.
Let them have their
I
cartel
could be
sauce.
entirely wrong about that, but that's the cliff notes that I
That's
recall.
a funny one.
I don't know if it's going to be funny if we like end up looking into it and it's like 400 dead or something. No. Like,
yeah.
We'll look into
I
that.
apologize. That's just like a thing that I have a very brief, like, oh yeah, that happened. But
we'll look into
I
it a
haven't
week later and be like,
researched
oh no. Oh no. Oh dear.
yeah.
I guess there's always the the whole drop bear scenario. When people,
Like they don't exist, or
I guess it's a twofold thing where like people get G'd up about drop bears and then Australians proliferate the idea of the drop bear, and then I think it's gotten to the point where everyone's like, oh, well, drop bears are fake because it's went too far to one extreme. Actually, that's a really good topic. We should do one on that, actually, like on drop bears. So like, long story short, if you know what a drop bear is, or like the story of drop bears is like, it's a way to prank tourists, like, oh, look out, the drop bears will fall on your tent and maul you in your sleep, and you got to put Vegemite behind your ears when you go camping to scare them off because they don't like the smell. And it's basically a way to like debate tourists into doing stupid things. Yeah. But it's like gone so far in that direction that people, like tourists, think it's entirely fake, which it's not. Like there is such a thing. I mean, drop bear is not the correct term, like not the actual like scientific name for it. Essentially, it's like an offshoot of koalas. They're like insanely violent, but you're not going to see one. They're stupid rare. Like they're not going to jump on your tent when you're camping, but it's like it's gone so full circle that everyone's like, that's a thing made up by Australians. Like drop bears are a made up thing. They're like the yowie or the bunyip. Like they're pretend, but it's like, well, they're not, but you're just never going to, like one's not going to jump on your tent and you don't need to put Vegemite sort of thing. Have you ever goaded a tourist into some sort of, we ride kangaroos to school, or?
Yeah, like telling them that kangaroos deliver our mail.
Yeah.
Or that we ride them to school. And
yeah.
They're like, really? Do you have them like pets? Yeah, totally.
I think Mum had a story once where they had like, I can't remember what it was, but like an American exchange student, and they like convinced her to, it's like some sort of like initiation into the kangaroo club. And you had to like jump around like a kangaroo for like 10 minutes a day to like prove that you had like the leg strength to join the kangaroo club or something. And, like on the last day, they were like, yeah, no, there's no kangaroo club. Like, so like harmless sort of thing where it's like they're just jumping around the school like for 10 minutes sort of thing. But like just dumb stuff like that.
That's so wholesome. I think
you're going to get murdered by a koala.
At my school, it was someone in the year above us, but they convinced an exchange student that like a colloquial way to say hello to teachers was you bang, like as a question mark. You bang. So then he's like saying it to teachers and they're kicking him out and stuff. And he's like, why is this happening? That's what I mean. Like your mum's
so horrible.
Your mum's story was like wholesome.
At least like just get him to say like "g'day cobber," like something that is slang but just never used, and not a swear kind of thing, or like not a poor kid. Oh, at least he gets to leave with no repercussions. Like he can't get expelled or grounded or something from the school.
Yeah.
Australia, a nice place to be. I guess that's probably a thing. Like if you don't have a decent sense of humor, if you can't within reason, if you can't make a joke about yourself or about your mates sort of thing, you're probably not going to have. Like, we're very easygoing, But I feel like banter is a pretty big thing. Like, I think it's probably similar in the UK, like banter with your mates, like saying that your mate's a dickhead or whatever it is like pretty common. Whereas I find like offending your friends isn't as common in the States.
Yeah.
Or in some places.
I think, like, it's not like you're not going to land and someone's going to be like, hey, dipshit. But like they'll get to know you first.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
But yeah, I found like sometimes people from overseas, like they don't get like the self-deprecating humor. Like they're like, oh, like is this person depressed or something? Like why are they being so mean to themselves? And it's like, it's just roasting yourself. Yeah,
it's just having a bit of a laugh.
And it's fun. Yeah, it's probably like a bit of a defense mechanism. It's like you roast yourself before someone roasts you.
Yeah, or like I guess like to initiate the banter, like roasting yourself is like, hey, you're in a safe space to roast me and vice versa. So like, you're not going to just go straight to the deep end and like make a joke about, someone's dead parents or something. Like, but you might make a joke about yourself for that, like, or whatever it is. And be like, oh my God, that's dark. But it's like, humor's a way of people, cope with things or talk about things or, But yeah, I find that the borderline offensive banter, well, not offensive, just the slightly ruder banter isn't received as sarcastic in everywhere, which was a bit of a thing that I experienced when I was in the States. I was making, it was like some sort of self-deprecating joke. I've been talking to this person for a good 20 minutes while we were walking, and they were like, oh wow, that's really me, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, it's like a joke. And they were like, oh really? And I'm like, yeah, I do not in any way actually think that about myself. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, I've been making all kinds of dumb jokes for the last 20 minutes. Did you think I was actually like, if they took every single thing that I said in that last 20 minutes as literal, I would have come across as the most horrid person in the world, like genuinely. And I was just like, oh my, I'm like sweating. I'm like, oh my God, like, no, I've got to backpedal here and like do damage control for like just everything that I said in the last 20 minutes, pretend it was a joke. Well, it was a joke because good Lord. Oh dear.
Wow.
Yeah, it was an awkward time. I feel like for future episodes, perhaps we can put out a little, for especially a topic like this, as broad as Australia, we put out a little Q&A, a little question out to the Twitter following. If you want to follow us on the Twitter, at podcast A2Z. So the letter A, the number 2, the letter Z. Podcast A to Z. Might chuck out a bit of like, hey, what are your assumptions about Australia? Like, we'll answer them. Do the last segment sort of thing. So I think next week's topic I've kind of already picked. I want to talk about the Baba Yaga. If you know about some folklore stuff, maybe we'll chuck out a question for if people have cool folklore stories, or maybe a time when, their grandparent told them a freaky story or something. Maybe we'll start up a bit of back and forth.
That'd be fantastic, because I don't know if people can tell, but I didn't really do any preparation or research for this podcast.
I guess that's kind of the way we're going to do it, is like, I'll take a turn, you take a turn sort of thing.
But if they're providing questions, it's like less dead air time and less work.
I'm going to edit all the dead air out. That's my job. So thanks for that.
No worries.
But no, yeah, I think that's to, I guess, further explain the format. The next 2 weeks, so me, I'm presenting A and B, but I think like going forward, we're going to alternate. So like Alan, your episode C, I think we've already picked out possibly cats, because of course Alan's going to find some fun facts or maybe some cool stories and bring them to me to present. And then, we're going to rotate through the alphabet sort of thing. So yeah,
I think, we'll get to a point, if enough people are tuned in and listening, where we'll be like, here's 4 or 5 potential things that we could talk about for the letter F, and then like put it up to a vote or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then that gives the audience the opportunity to totally
ruin the
stitch me up and be like, I want you to talk about the French occupation of something, something, something.
Bless. About frogs.
Or frogs.
Or Freudian concepts. What's your opinion of your mother, Alan? Etc. It could be set up for all kinds of I think that's a wrap for episode 1, season 1. Will there be multi-season? Tune in next week, etc. Also, if you like us just talking about dumb stuff each week, if you like hearing about horribly venomous spiders and aggressive koalas and shrimps not on the Barbie, share it with a friend. let someone know, hit subscribe. I guess, leave I mean, probably not right now, but maybe after a few episodes, if you like what you're hearing, leave a review. Or right now, maybe you're a super fan. Appreciate it. But slap follow, slap subscribe, whatever format you're listening, watching us on. Share it with a mate and appreciate it. And we'll be back next week with the Baba Yaga, I believe. We'll see how long we can stretch that for an episode length. But if we put the question out on the Twitter, maybe we'll get some cool feedback.
I reckon we could just go into from that, just pivot into all old folklore tales. And
that's all of them. All 40 billion folklore.
All. But yeah, Krampus and all that kind of jazz.
I feel like that's a lot, but we can. The limit does not exist.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the limit exists for how much storage there is on our recording devices, but otherwise, the limit does not exist.
Yes.
Thank you for listening, champions, legends. What are we going to, I don't know what we're going to call the explorers?
Azzers.
Nah.
Come on, Azzers.
A to Zs. I don't know. Champ mates.
What's up, Azzers?
It sounds like it would almost be a slur, or almost like a swear word.
Yeah.
You bloody Azza. And it's what does that mean?
I need to Google that.
Yeah, just in case. Oh, God. Anyway, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
I apologize to the people of Azerbaijan
for my accidental. I did not realize that my words. We'll see you all next week. Yeah. Love you.
Good chat.
Bye. Bye.